Hi, local main character Zepp here. A second Bakugan reboot has hit the World Toy Fair. After a very bumpy ride of the 2019 to 2023 reboot, Bakugan is wiping its slate clean again. And then rubbing whatever this is on that clean slate. While the reboot that started with Battle Planet was confused at what it wanted to be, adopting many gimmicks, abandoning an entire TCG, and having a TV show that existed, this reboot seems to know what it wants to do. Something, certainly, that's like a whole-ass ripcord. It certainly has its own identity, along with its own logo, which is a lot more three-dimensional than previous logos. I still don't know how I feel about this. It makes my funny parts feel weird. And just Bakugan, huh? No subtitle. I guess we'll all end up calling it Generation 3 or Gen 3 or G3. But Bakutech, a Japan exclusive series, was called Bakugan Project 2 officially. You could call it sequel, short-lived Bakugan Armors, Bakugan Project 3, maybe not officially, but we could call it that. And I suppose you could call both of those as part of Gen 1 since they're compatible, but then again, Gen 1 was split into the HSP and the Win 3 Gates era, so you could call this reboot anywhere from Gen 5 to Gen 7. Many are angry at this reboot for seemingly abandoning what Bakugan is, the Baku norm, if you will, by adopting many gimmicks like a ripcord, combining, whatever that is. But what if I told you that this wasn't a deviation from the norm? In fact, the rest of Bakugan as a whole was a deviation of the norm, and this rendition is the most faithful recreation of the original ideas behind the Bakugan toy line. You can shoot me if you want. Bakugan started out as a napkin sketch of balls that could unfold into action figures, like these. This quickly evolved into the concept of action marbles, little unfolding figures at an impossible scale that you could fold into marbles to play games with. This idea was based off of using licensed characters, including, but not limited to, Ava 1, Bumblebee, Kamen Rider 5, Bakuryu Tyrannosaurus, and, I cannot stress this one enough, local Moe disaster tragedy twink, Vash the Stampede from Trigun. I wish I couldn't ignore reality like that. The action marbles idea eventually evolved into battle brawlers. This one. Sorry, battle brawlers, not Bakugan, were meant to traverse a gimmick-laden field and eventually land on hollow sectors to open, which you would play a game with and they would act as the battlefield and terrain where the battle brawlers battle brawl. Once Japanese toy company SEGA Toys got into the mix, this eventually became Bakugan to appeal to the more hobby Annie aesthetics that really sell this kind of toy. Hollow sectors would not really appear again, except as part of the abbreviation of HSP on the original gate cards for the original game. The name Hollow Sector Points suddenly has a meaning. Soon into the brand's lifespan, the HSP game would be scrapped and redesigned by Luke Peterschmidt into the Capture 3 gate card game that we all know today. Hopefully, I hope you know this. If you don't know that, maybe you were too young, maybe you just never learned the rules of the original Bakugan. I wish I could be you. And after Luke Peterschmidt's revision of the game, hollow sectors were to never be seen again, and to fade into obscurity. Until now. This is Mantid, a bug type, I guess. Rip elemental factions. And this card that it's landed on is split into sections with different icons on them. And this kind of terrain-like battlefield really resembles hollow sectors. And the way that you're supposed to land on specific sections of the card, well, hollow sectors. These symbols likely change how the Bakugan battle or decide which score on a hypothetical reference card it uses works. All I know is that I love the buff heart and I would fight for it for my life. These gate cards, or we don't know if they're called gate cards yet, but they really resemble the hollow sectors terrain battlefield type aesthetic. It looks like the main game will be physics and action based, with the main core of the game running on Bakugan customization and toy gimmick physicality. If I had to take a gander at the rules, both players will likely let their Bakugan rip in this arena-like structure on top of the Bakutin, or maybe the natural arena, land on one of the hollow sectors, take the icon from there, match it to a reference card, and then highest number wins. But it also looks like you would be able to knock your opponent out of the arena, or at least off of a card, to also get a win. We do know, at least from the Amazon listings that got leaked, that an arena set is on the way, so hopefully that arena set will be better than other arena sets we've gotten into the past. I think it will be because, you know, if these are spinning on plastic, that works a lot better than rolling on plastic, and it could be a proper size if you don't have to physically roll them, but we'll see. I don't trust Spin Master more than I trust, I don't know, Cyanide? Now, I know that this will probably make a lot of people mad, and it already has, abandoning the TCG entirely from the ground floor. But I don't think Bakugan needs a TCG to be compelling. Bakugan at their core are transforming marbles, usually triggered by a magnetic switch. Cards aren't needed to make an interesting game out of those. At their core, what has separated Bakugan from its ilk is the physicality of the toys. I think many things can be done with the Bakugan concept, whether they just be action figures or game pieces. This is just one of those possible iterations. Not all will like it. Maybe the trading cards were an essential part of it, and that's understandable. They're collectible, they add complexity, they're really cool just to have and use, but they're auxiliary to the main experience, I think. Justin Gary, co-designer for the TCG and toy battling game of the Battle Planet era, said that the biggest part of the game was when the Bakugan opened, and designed the game around that being the big climax moment. Same thing with Luke Peterschmidt, the designer of the well-known Legacy game. At the end of the day, what matters to make a compelling game is making these Bakugan open. And since that is the main conceit of this game, and they fully understand that going in, and aren't going to try to mess with a TCG that they want to abandon, or mess with a very stripped-down toy battling game that isn't fun, maybe they can make the main mode of gameplay, and the main gameplay loop, very intentional, and fun to watch and play with, and hopefully make it more than just add math. Finally, we don't know if there's going to be a show. Probably not. They didn't bring on Jason DeLine as Dragonoid again, which I feel like they would have. Jason DeLine said he's officially not voicing Dragonoid anymore. And, well, he's kind of an iconic part of the brand, being one of the few voice actors that they brought back for the reboot, so, we may be going without a show. Spin Master is probably testing to see if the brand can be without a show and support it on its own without any supporting media. But if there is a show, I'm really manifesting that Clamp does the character designs, because I'm going to be honest, Bakugan does not need a trading card game. What it needs is yaoi.